The dishonorable alkali bismuth is presiding.
Oh my God!
If you could please make sure that this flask is full. We need it for liquid justice. Gentlemen, we are going to have an orderly trial. We will expect no interruptions unless they are particularly funny. And for the next 2 minutes, the two of you will only speak in duck voices. He told me I could do whatever I want. And so that everyone is aware, the next case will be the judge against the costume facility that bullshitted me and said one size fits all. I am not all. Also, please do not touch the equipment. They left me a note for me. I like being the judge. You may be seated. Is this a wedding? Hold on, can I marry people? You are married! Married! I think I found out why I shouldn't be a judge. I object. Sustained. Before this all starts, I shall learn all of you. I have had extensive training in being a judge. I watched 4 YouTube videos. Notice how high the pinky was raised. We're going to lay some ground rules. You may approach the bench as long as you bring a gift for your judge. You may approach the witness stand, but when you do, you shall do so in a jolly, jovial way. There will be at least one dance step involved anytime you approach a witness. And third, audience, if you have a question during this, you may ask your neighbor in a game of telephone until it reaches this person, who will then repeat the question to me in a way that makes absolutely no sense, and I will answer it in a similar fashion. All right. You have a question? Start the rogue and start going around. This is going to get interesting. All right, I think there's something I'm supposed to do to start this thing. Yes?
Using the term honor loosely.
Oh!
Your Honor, he's not using a duck voice. Yes.
He is not.
I went to Harvard.
Going to Harvard? Yeah, that totally counts as a duck voice.
Yeah, Lucy Barrister for the Commonwealth. A few preliminary matters. First, we're free to move about the law of court.
You are free to move about the courtroom.
And approaching the witness, we ask first time.
First time only, please, but then dance step and approach. Since I see that you have a cane that is an expert at badgering the witness, the cane counts as a dance move. Merely flourish.
Set of stipulations, 300 defense of Commonwealth, regarding the admissibility of certain exhibits. The law, since you're definitely going to need it.
Yep. Really certain one of these is your mortgage.
Only enough, we're about to discuss that.
This is working out really well.
Myself and defense counsel briefly met prior to trial today to discuss some stipulated admissions. Would you like them, or you want me to? All right. We would like to stipulate to the admissibility of exhibit number 4, a toxicology report, a copy of the case up at the bench. Exhibit number 6, a psychological report by Dr. Simon Ramon.
What are we doing here?
And exhibit number 12, a TV guide, just in case you want something.
Thank you. Counsel, making sure none of the evidence will be urine in nature, either old or new.
I can't guarantee that.
Damn it.
Actually, Your Honor, the toxicology report does in fact cover urine samples.
We're skipping to the toxicology report.
It doesn't last.
Bailiff, that man owes me a drink. Noted, thank you.
As you know, this case is regarding the prosecution of Mr. Lowe Furless.
Well done. One bonus point. I don't know how points. I'm awarding points. He's got the first point, dude.
Regarding a kidnapping that took place on May 19th of last year. This time the prosecution moves to the exclusion of what defense has provided us as exhibits, proposed exhibits 10 and 11. A check from August 19th of 2015 and a check from December 1st of 2006 that bear no relevance on the matter.
At this time, bailiff, you may destroy all cell phones which are not muted.
All right, hand them over.
Here, use this. It's really funny.
By the way, we've been told that we have to use the mic, so no, I'm just going to use my courtroom voice because I've been in big bitches in this.
Counsel, I am being told that these are and are not relevant. Would you please approach the bench and without the jury hearing, explain to me how these could possibly be relevant, seeing as there's a dick pic on one of them? Thank you! Yes! You're right, it's such a gift, like AIDS.
Oh.
I'm looking. Okay, yeah, please just edit this evidence until it's worse. Yeah. Hold on. We're tampering with evidence. One moment. Now this makes sense.
What color is the defendant first?
Partially guilty.
Flagging here, so I don't know whether it's now.
2017, I am going to Exhibit 10 and 11 will be admissible as evidence. I'm sorry, you called it character evidence?
Your Honor, we would just ask that we be allowed to present our objection again at the time.
Absolutely. Well, I still have 2 hammers.
With that, Your Honor, should we come on page number 30?
All right, I think at that point we're supposed to either go to opening statements or a choreographed dance. Which one was it? I watched a lot of YouTube videos. Some of them were anime. Does anyone have a bear that is both black and white with a red eye and murders people? Okay, we're all safe. There should be not a lot of murder. I learned a lot of this from that bear. Hidden somewhere in this courtroom is a chainsaw, and the person that finds it is the murderer. Commonwealth, you may proceed with your opening. You have an objection from the audience. From your son, I believe.
It makes sense.
Commonwealth, since I know your voice, I will ask that you present your opening to the audience and not to me.
I will.
Oh, excellent.
Don't worry.
You're looking at me!
I'm looking at you for a reason.
Sexy no.
Some people see the world purely in terms of predator and prey. Now, for those people, other people don't exist. Their cares, their worries, their problems, they do not matter. because they exist solely as prey. Solely as something to feed their desires and their needs and their wants. And when a predator seeks prey, they do not seek strong prey. They do not seek prey that can fight back. They seek weak prey, wounded prey. Prey with an emotional, physical, or mental detriment that makes it easier for them to latch on, easier for them to get what they want, easier for them to influence themselves. And then they strike. Opposing counsel, you, members of our jury. My name is Boozy Badger, and I represent the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania in this matter. When I say I represent the Commonwealth, let me explain what that means. I mean I represent the people of this grand state and bringing justice into this courtroom. It is my job to present to you the evidence on this matter, and it's your job to hear that evidence and come to a determination. So let me tell you what evidence you're going to hear today. Today you are going to hear testimony and see evidence that shows on May 19, 2017, one Mo Furless influenced a young person by the name of Kitty Glitters. That they have insinuated themselves for months into this life, the life of a person who had lost a parent, who had been sequestered by their surviving parent, kept away from human contact, kept away from socialization, kept away from friendship, and they presented themselves as a savior, as the sole friend they had, as the only outlet they had. They built around this person, around themselves, a group of friends completely dedicated to Mr. Furless. Unquestioned. And then when Mr. Furless had monetary problems, the evidence that you will hear today will show that suddenly Kitty Glitters, who was the heir to an inheritance, disappeared from a convention hotel room. A hotel room owned by Mr. Furless. A hotel room with people from Mr. Furless's group in it. And a hotel room where only Mr. Furless had control. That within 12 hours of Kitty Glitters going missing, an email was sent demanding a substantial amount of money be wired to an account or Kitty Glitters would be killed. You'll hear a story of a dedicated friend who will take the stand and tell you how concerned with Kitty Glitters, her friend since childhood, she contacted the police. You will hear from the very detective who was familiar with Mr. Furless in the past. Now when they knocked on that door, Mr. Furless feigned ignorance even when they found Kitty Glitters in the trunk of his car. You will hear undeniable evidence of the monetary problems, of massive cash withdrawals leading up to this. But you will not hear any credible evidence that points away from Mr. Furless. You will hear people be blamed, people that they cannot produce in this courtroom, without a shred of evidence. As you will hear Mr. Furless once again put this case, not in the terms of right or wrong, legal or illegal, the terms of predator and prey. Except this time his prey is not an 18-year-old child. This time his prey is the people of this fine state. At the end of this trial, we will explain the concept of beyond a reasonable doubt. And I feel confident with the evidence you hear today, there will not be a reasonable doubt in Mr. Furless' guilt. And that he will be capable of finding that he is guilty and sentencing him justly for being the predator that he is.
Holy crap! I might start taking this thing a little bit more seriously. Yeah. You may approach and do that.
People of the court, I will not be doing that. Because unlike the Boozy Badger, I am not a litigator. I am an in-house attorney, but I am here today because I believe in the system of justice that we have in this great Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. And I believe that there are two victims in this courtroom today. My client, Mo Furlas, is a victim of this big Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. The police detective that is going to be here today has had bias against my client for a decade and has been trying to put him in prison without any evidence whatsoever. We're going to hear evidence today that my client is bad with money. My client has a propensity for giving away all of his funding for charitable purposes. You're going to hear that my client put himself out there as a role model for vulnerable people. And what you're going to hear is not one shred of evidence that he is the one who put kitty glitters into the trunk of that car. Thank you.
Buddy, I will say one thing, as the court, because the room is split on both sides, and you have to turn one way or another, you will be using the microphone. Because every time you're turning away, I'm seeing other people trying to hear these amazing words for the kidnapper. I am not biased.
Thank you, Your Honor. We'll bring it up on appeal.
Absolutely. I believe at this point is either the swimsuit competition or we start presenting things, like swimsuit competitions.
Yeah, at this point, counsel, I'd like to call Chia Petra.
If Cleopatra could please approach the bench. Also, does anyone have a programming guide from Anthrocon? We don't have a Bible, but I'm pretty sure they both have the same amount of redundancies. Thank you very much. We are admitting this Anthrocon programming guide as evidence to the fact that Anthrocon happened this weekend, even if you got blackout drunk. God damn it. Blackout? I don't. These are judicial robes. They have no pockets. This is now what you swear on. Who does the thing with the swearing? Bailiff, here, this is a Bible now. Thank you very much.
The Rob swears, tell the whole truth, and, well, let's face it, nobody's actually paying attention to it. All right, you may be.
That counts. Point to the bailiff. She's winning.
Yes, you're good.
Not Noel.
Good afternoon.
Hello,
Would you please state your name?
Cleo Taufik.
And do you have any other names that you know by?
Yes, Cleopatra.
That's an interesting name, Cleopatra. How'd you get that?
My persona is a cheetah.
A cheetah.
Yes.
The snow leopards weren't good enough for you. Would you prefer to call Cleo or Chio or Cleopatra?
Cleo is fine.
Cleo's fine. All right. Cleo, how old are you? Where do you live?
426 Doggo Lane, Burstown.
And
This is a weird world.
do you know the victim in today's case?
Yes, I do.
Who is that?
That is Kitty Glitters.
How long have you known the kid?
Since childhood, about 10 years old.
How'd you guys meet?
We were friends when we were younger. We lost a parent about the same time. It's pretty much our only friend.
Yeah. How did Kitty lose your parent?
Her dad, Sam, was killed by a drunk driver when she was 10 in 2009.
I got a man.
Absolutely.
So you all have been friends since you were about 10 years old?
Yes.
Since she was about 10 years old.
Yes.
And she lost her father, right? Just
Yes.
how'd that affect her?
Devastation. she pretty much just retreated in on herself. It was very hard for the family for a while.
Yeah, you say retreated in, what do you mean?
Very isolated, didn't really make friends with anyone outside of me. Just tried to help her mom make ends meet.
Does your mom still have problems?
No, it took a while for the settlement to come in from the drunk driving case. But for a while, she was working 2 jobs. One was at the J Mart to try to help her mom out. Her mom was pretty much pushed her into studying and to school, so she was very dedicated to school.
They say the settlement, what do you mean? How much was it, you know?
No, I'm not sure the exact amount.
Was it less than 100,000?
I do not know.
They say she got pushed into school, right?
Yes,
Why do you think that? What do you think she'd be pushed into?
to succeed, probably to not have to work at a J Mart for the rest of her life. More opportunities.
In watching the friend over all that time, how'd she do at school?
Oh, she excelled. That was pretty much all we did was study. School was our life. She even got accepted into a private university after the settlement came in, or private like high school type thing. She and I actually both ended up going. Her mom paid for both of our tuitions.
Now, Kitty, did she go to college?
Yeah, when we were in our junior year, she got early acceptance to University of Pennsylvania.
Did you go to college?
I didn't have the money and or the scholarships to go with her that year, but the next year I actually got accepted to a junior college nearby.
Oh. And where does Kitty live?
We lived together, so after her first year, or her freshman year, her mom actually paid for us to get an apartment together.
That's nice. That's nice. So you were, I assume, the reason Kitty's roommate.
Yes.
When you all were living together, what sort of things was Kitty into? What was she doing?
So when we started living together, it was kind of weird because like building up when she went off to college, she was really worried about being separated because we'd always been together, pretty much sisters, and she was really worried about meeting people because her mom didn't really let her socialize too much with anyone else except me. And so she told me that she was really worried about meeting people. And I told her to try to get into some kind of club, a social club or something. And that's when she got into the Anthrocon Association. She seemed really happy with that. But I don't know, she started like pulling away from me. She stopped really talking. And when we actually moved in together, she just started to change at that point.
You said Anthrocon Association?
Yeah.
Well, explain, what is that?
So she explained it to be a kind of a appreciation club of people who like cartoon animals. She was sending all kinds of videos and pictures, and I thought it was kind of cool. So that's when I created the persona so that we could, have something to do together again, even though we weren't at the same school.
I assume that her persona was a cat as well?
Yes.
Okay. I wonder how to do that, right? So you both were involved, right? Anthrocon Association?
Yeah, her so more than me, but because she'd been in it longer, I really didn't start getting into it until a little bit after she did, and she was more popular.
Who else was involved with the Anthrocon Association that you remember?
Well, I know that she got into a group called, I think they called themselves the Furless Bunch. That was pretty much a bunch of people who had fursuits by the same maker, Mr. Furless, and they would do charity videos and stuff together with all the costumes, and he paid for everything for them.
You say paid for everything, what do you mean?
Like all their fursuits, he paid for all of their suits, all the equipment that they used during the videos, he paid for everything.
So did he pay for any trips they took?
I'm not sure, honestly. I know that he paid for, like I said, the video equipment and stuff that they used.
Did you ever meet Mr. Burles?
Like, not hanging out with him,
But
but
did you ever be there or get a chance to say hello?
yes,
Anything for today?
yes,
Where is it?
sitting right there.
Record would show that it was some date of 10. So starting out with the furless bunch, what started happening then?
That was about the time that she started, like, pulling away from me. We used to talk every single day, and suddenly it was, she would miss days talking to me, and we just stopped communicating.
Well, we're still living in the same house, right?
Yeah,
How do you not talk if you live in the same house?
shutting doors, and she was always going to conventions. She started hanging out actually a lot, also with this guy called Furry.
You can see the disappointment on his face.
Whoa, who was Furry?
He was like a charity panelist. His whole shtick was getting drunk and acting like an idiot.
You can object at any time!
I gotta be honest, I don't know about that.
Apparently, I guess people found it funny and they would donate to charity as he kind of ran around, tripping over himself.
Did you ever have a chance to run into Furry?
Yes, I mean, I more just heard stories like about. I know at one point I heard stories about like his financial problems, saying that he pretty much drank away his mortgage money.
I heard he went on to become a pretty successful judge.
They said he was a stockbroker, but I'm not sure.
Now, they started hanging out for furless, right?
Yes.
And those monkeys ended up on this furless. Is that a good summary?
Yes.
Well, that doesn't sound too bad, does it?
Yeah, I mean, so they started hanging out more and more together and going to all these. I was really kind of concerned about her hanging out with Furry because I think he was kind of a bad influence.
But you have to look at the furless.
So one of the big incidents that happened, obviously before she went missing, was one of the conventions that we went to most recently. She went to a store and she bought a whole lot of props and stuff for her first shoot, for her first photo shoot that they were going to do with the furless bunch. And she came into the hotel room with this bandana on that was a little concerning. And she got really mad when I kind of mentioned it to her. She stormed out of the room with her Hersey stuff. And I was really concerned about sitting down to Conops to talk to Conops to see if there was anything they could do if they had heard about it. And there was probably about 10 members, I guess, of the furless bunch. They all had these bandanas and Conops, and there were a bunch of people outside who were pointing at them and calling them fursies. And I was pretty much told that there was nothing that they could do about it because it was artistic expression, and they were claiming it's a show of solidarity, essentially, and that since he had raised like $10,000 already that con for charity, that they weren't going to say anything to him.
So, bandanas, maybe you didn't like that he was pulling away from you a little bit?
I kind of felt like this whole group was replacing me in Kitty's life. Like she put all of her time and energy towards this group instead of our friendship. She even stopped studying as much and skipping classes.
It really was, I think it's fair to say, concerned for Kitty at that point.
Very concerned. I told her mom after the bandana incident, and she actually stopped giving Kitty money to go to cons, like stopped funding her cons.
You all went to Anthrocon together in 2017, correct?
Yes. Kitty made a big deal to me about how much she really wanted to go, and said that she needed, I think it was $1,500 to go, and I convinced her mom to write a blank check for the full amount, and we went.
Let's move to that. You all got to Anthro gather when?
I don't recall what day.
Anything I could show you to help you?
I did give a sworn statement.
Please, the court, counsel, just refresh your memories and those were stated. Don't forget the dance. I'll do a minor flourish, although I think my Marama did as well. Where's the statement here? Go before May 19th, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So you all got to Anthro gather. Did you get a room together or did you get a room separate?
No, we got a room together.
That would have been Friday the 18th?
Yes.
Okay. So you get there Friday the 18th with your friend. What happens then?
So she'd been talking like the whole week up to it about how excited that she was to go to one of Alki-Ri's panels. And there was always a lot of drinking and stuff involved, and I was really kind of concerned about the drinking. She said that it was going to be a late night panel that she was going to go to on that Friday night, and that she would see me, later, essentially.
Did you see him later?
In a manner of speaking.
Explain that. What do you mean, a manner of speaking? You see somebody or you don't see somebody?
So I couldn't let my concern over this whole Alki-Ri thing and her hanging out with him go. So I decided to go to the panel to see her. And when I got to the panel room that she said that they were going to be at, the lights were dark, there was no one in there. There wasn't any listing on the panel board outside saying that there was a panel. So I got really, really worried. And she wasn't answering her phone. I couldn't get in touch with her. I couldn't really find anyone. So knowing that Alki-Ri was a partier, I went up to the party floor around 1 a.m. And I heard a lot of noise coming out of room, I believe it was 458. And I kind of was able to, the door was open. So I peeked in and I saw a circle. I think it was about eight people who I recognized from the Furless bunch, all wearing the bandanas and sitting in this circle in the middle of the room.
The hell are they doing that circle in the middle of work? Don't answer that. What happened? Remembering that this is a PG panel.
So Mo went, and Mo was there, and went and got Alki-Ri from like a back room. And the whole group of them were sitting there chanting something. It sounded like some kind of new age, like incantation. I wasn't familiar with it. And when Mo and Alki-Ri came out of the back room, they went around to each person in the circle and they gave them a small cup of something, some kind of liquid, and a little piece of what looked like candy. And each person in the group, including Kitty, ate the candy thing and drank whatever was in the cup. And then they just kind of seemed to snap out of the incantation phase and then just started laughing and doing some kind of party.
About how long did you stay outside of that room?
Well, I know that I got back to my room about 2:30, but so the only other things I really saw there was that she ate a piece of cake, and then she got up and looked like she kind of stumbled or tripped, possibly, I don't know, I don't know if she had any alcohol. She went back to what I assume was a bathroom, but I never saw her come back out. I kind of ducked around as everyone else started filing out, except for Mo and Alki. They were still in the room talking. But I never saw her come out.
Okay, but you never saw her leave,
No,
right?
I never saw her
Oh,
leave.
okay. And you went back to your room about 2:30, you said?
Yeah, she seemed to trust these people, so I figured I would just see her in the morning.
And what happened when you saw her in the morning?
I didn't.
What do you mean you didn't see her in the morning? You were already in the room.
I went to bed at 2:30, and when I woke up at 8 a.m., she still was not back in the room.
She wasn't there at 8 a.m.
No.
What did you do after that?
I tried to call her. I actually called Alki Ride's room, room 458 where the party had been, and he said that she had left before 2, and that he hadn't seen her.
But you were outside before 2, right? And you didn't see her leave?
I did not see her.
After you called out, did you contact anybody else?
I called the police.
And what happened when you called the police?
It took almost 2 hours for them to get there.
So they arrived at what, 10:30 about?
Yeah, something like that.
What happened? Who responded? Do you remember?
Detective Reynolds.
Detective Reynolds. What Detective Reynolds?
Asked me questions about what had happened, what I saw. And as soon as I mentioned Mo Furless, proverbial ears perked up, and she seemed to kind of take it a little more seriously at that point, that Kitty was missing.
Was Kitty ever found?
Eventually,
What do you mean eventually? When was Kitty found?
I believe it was the following, I got a call later that night saying that she had found a trunk of Mo Furless's car, and that she was at the hospital and they were checking her out. But,
Is she okay?
I mean, physically she was fine, but she wasn't all there mentally. She almost seemed like catatonic, so she got mad because,
That wasn't a pun.
so during Detective Reynolds' investigation, she went through obviously Kitty's belongings to see if there was anything that she could find to point to where she might have gone. And besides a collar that she found in some like new age looking books. The only other thing was when we looked at her page was when that ransom came in asking for $25,000 of Kitty was killed.
How's Kitty dead?
I don't really recognize her. She got really mad that we were investigating Mr. Furless. She dropped out of school. She moved out of the apartment. She was refusing to pretty much have any contact with anyone. She won't even go back to any of the conventions and stuff until he's exonerated, essentially.
So has she told you why she's so angry that Mr. Furless is being investigated for her being in the trunk of his car?
She said that there's no way that anyone in the Furless bunch would have had anything to do with it.
I have never told her.
I'm gonna let the judge have a moment to let this all sit in.
Sure.
This is what you guys do for a job? This is incredible. I'm seriously impressed and terrified of this alcohol guy. No, I drink for other reasons. I'm a judge, and I can.
All right, Ms. Chio, would you prefer Cleo or Chio?
Cleo.
Will remind defense, two sides of the room. There we are. It's legitimately, this room is not acoustically sound.
You're outside for a
Yeah,
second.
you're gonna have to, sorry.
court will let me.
Can the people of the court hear me now?
Ish. That silence is ish.
All right, I'm going to do my best.
Yes, sir.
Well, people tend to grow apart when they're in high school friends. Is that correct? In your experience, do people grow apart from high school friends?
Objection, Your Honor, calls for speculation.
Sustained.
Objection to the stand up at the point.
YouTube videos were mainly audio. I didn't know that was a thing.
Basically, I'm going to ask you about the Pursuit photo shoot. Did everyone wear the bandanas?
Objection, Your Honor, once again calls for hearsay from what I heard Ms. Cleopatra over there say. She was not a member of the photo bunch and wasn't in their photos.
To the actual photo shoot itself, no.
Sustained.
Do you have any knowledge of if Mo Furlos made these bandanas?
No.
So you don't know if Mo Furlos had anything to do with them?
Objection, Your Honor, I asked an answer because she doesn't know whether he made them. She can't say whether he had anything to do with them.
Anything you bought?
Anybody can be bought. The fact he's on the bench proves that.
Defense. You fake.
Overruled! Keep going! Another racing points now!
I think I'm pretty much played. I'll end that line of questioning there. So, let me ask you about the night that Kitty disappeared. Now, you were present for at least part of this party, correct?
Hiding in the doorway, but yes.
Okay. You were present, and you had a concern that something may happen to Kitty at this party. Now, can I ask you why you didn't do anything? You didn't voice a concern to anybody else?
I just wanted my friend to be happy again.
And was she? Did she appear happy?
She did, yes.
Okay. So you didn't see her leave the party, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And who was still present when you left?
To my knowledge, only Mr. Curlis and Alfie Rye, and I assumed her since I had not seen her.
Okay. Thank you. Further questions?
Just very briefly direct. It's okay if you don't want me to see this. That's one question. Two, really. You ever seen a child eat poison?
No.
You ever heard of a child eating poison?
Yes.
Think they look happy when they're eating it?
If it tastes sweet, yes.
Bird.
You have children! What is over there?
This is not the purpose of this leave that she be excused.
I know it's not protocol, but let's give her a huge round of applause.
Your Honor, at this time, the Commonwealth would call Detective Shay Reynolds.
So since that's how it works, let's have a huge round of applause for Detective Shay Reynolds!
I'm assuming this is how everything works. Detective, if you would please take the stand. Bailiff, thank you very much, Bailiff. The holy Anthrocon schedule is ready to go.
About a year and a half ago, she got this
You swear to make up something that sounds at least somewhat reasonable? I will do my best.
It's all we can ask. This is almost gone and that's scary. Eric, you need this too.
That's good.
Thank you, Bailiff.
Say your name, please.
My name is Shay Reynolds.
And what is your job?
My job is the head detective with the Special Division of the Pennsylvania State Police Department.
And give me a little bit of your background. How did you get to police work?
Well, I've been a police officer since I graduated from Columbus State University in Ohio. A bachelor's of science degree in criminology and a dual minor in psychology and sociology. My senior thesis was entitled Victim Abuse and Recovery in Cases of Kidnapping. After graduating from college, I joined the Ohio State Task Force on Kidnapping Administration, where I served for 12 years. The Newtown Police Commissioner contacted me about a year ago to head up a new missing persons and kidnapping division. So, and that was headquartered in Birdstown.
So let me ask, you have roughly 12 years of experience in police work.
Yes.
That'd be pretty much. And almost all of that experience is specifically in missing and kidnapped persons, right?
Yes.
So you know what you're doing when you're doing a kidnapping investigation. Fair to say?
Yes.
So with that in place, why don't you tell me about May 19th, 2017?
Well, on May 19th, at 10:30 a.m., I got a phone call from dispatch that said that there was a person who called 911 claiming her 18-year-old friend named Kitty Glitter was missing. I drove to the caller's hotel at 456 Drexel Road here in Birdstown, where the Anthrocon 2017 convention was going on. I met the roommate, Cleopatra. Gio was in a panic, and it took me a few minutes to calm her down. I found out that Kitty was supposed to have gone to a charity panel the night before, and then to a dance. Kitty never returned to the room, and didn't answer their mobile phone. Gio explained that the panel was supposed to be hosted by Kitty's friend, Alki Rye, and that after midnight, Gio went by the panel room to find it empty. She walked up to the room of Mo Celeste, and that name piqued my interest, to say the least.
Why did that name pique your interest?
I had once arrested a Mo Celeste.
Objection, Your Honors. Character evidence trying to establish a predisposition.
I remember this in the video, sustained. Yeah, I totally remember that part. Guys, underneath all your chairs is a roofie. If you wouldn't mind taking it to strike that from the record. Also, there'll be a trial about this panel in about 20 minutes. Yeah, no, I remember that part.
Someone stole mine.
Somebody stole it.
Sorry. Sorry about that.
Let me rephrase that question. Without any particulars, were you familiar with the name Overlast?
Yes, I was.
Had you had cause to become familiar with the name Overlast in a professional capacity? So, you heard the name Overlast, it piqued your interest. Now, about what time did you say you got that hotel room?
It probably was maybe an hour or so, 2 hours. I don't remember.
I don't recall. Okay. And did you go and talk to Mr. Furless at all?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that, please?
Did you go and talk to Mr. Furless at all?
I did.
About what time was that?
Oh. Trying to remember. Please give me a moment.
Well, the witnesses
It was about
remember.
1 p.m.
About 1 p.m.
I'll remind counsel and Commonwealth, terrible acoustics in this room. Always use your outside voices, please.
So about 1 p.m. you went to Mr. Furless and you arrived at the hotel room, Miss Splitters, and the person who called earlier that in the morning. Now, between that time period, did you do anything investigation-wise?
Well, I inquired further into the activities or the nature of the Furless bunch. It was a group of supposed charity costumers, and it was named after their founder. I was informed that the Furless bunch, they all wore the same branded bandanas, and it was I believe it was highly indicative of the fact that the Furless bunch was more than just an ordinary club. From experience, having all the members of a group alter their appearance and engage in activities such as wearing a single symbol and ostracizing themselves from others, it's a matter of removing individual personalities. It seemed to me the modus operandi of a cult.
And you gained that experience over 12 years of position,
Yes,
specifically dealing with psychosis.
yes.
You said normally intersect cults. Now, specific to the room, search, call anybody, ask questions.
Well, we did have a forensics group come in. They examined the carpeting and found traces of civet oil powder in the carpet.
Let me ask the detective, are you talking about the room for Miss Glitters or Mr. Furless?
Mr. Furless's.
Well, Miss Glitters.
Let's go to Miss Glitter's.
Let's
Okay.
start at the beginning. It's a very
I
good place
apologize.
to start, and we'll move from there. Okay?
Yes,
With
Witness, do
regards,
me a favor and move the microphone a little bit closer.
I will.
with regards specifically to Miss Glitters' room, what did you do to investigate this?
Well, I did go through, I did examine her computer, and on that computer, I found what looked to me like a ransom note. It was an unopened message, and it was from an unknown sender.
I'm going to approach her. I'm going to show the witness what we are now marking as Commonwealth 1. Is this a copy of the note?
Yes, sir, that is.
Is that a true and accurate copy of the note that appeared on the computer when you did your investigation?
Yes, it is.
This one we moved to the Commonwealth 1. Take a look at Commonwealth 1 there. Who is the from line on that? Who's that from?
It says from open hand empty tree at furascendancy.net.
What is for ascendancy? Do you know?
I believe it is related to, or at least it looked to me like it was furry porn.
Very important. Who was this labeled to?
Labeled to Kitty, P-R-Y-D-E at furascendancy.net.
So Kitty's problem. To your knowledge, what account is Kitty prior to First Incident? Whose account?
I'm sorry?
Whose account is that?
That is, it's Kitty Glitter's.
The victim's.
Yes, the victim's account.
And the subject there, did you read that off?
The subject says sacrifice money or sacrifice self.
And the message, if you could just read that message, just the 3 lines, very short 3 lines.
All right? Kitty will be sacrificed if you and the police do not cooperate fully with our demands. Once we know you are listening, we will provide further instruction. $250,000 to be wired offshore, or she will be offed. No games, or Kitty will be blamed.
One last question. You see the date and time marker on that?
I do.
What's the date and time marker?
Date and time is Saturday, 19 May, 2007.
You mean 17 or 7?
2017 at 11:04 a.m.
11:04 a.m.
Yes.
Weren't you already in the room at that time doing an investigation?
Yes, I was.
So this was sent while you were there
Apparently it was.
with
Yes.
Miss DePee, who testified a moment ago.
Yes,
Yeah. So whoever sent that could have been in the room, right?
exactly.
So you fair to classify this as a ransom note?
I'm sorry?
Very classified as a ransom
Yes.
note for $250,000,
Yes,
$250,000.
yes,
So after the offensive investigation, you went to Mr. Furless's room, right?
I did,
1 p.m., correct?
yes,
Before that, or after that letter was sent, right?
yes.
Did you speak to Mr. Furless?
I did speak to Mr. Furless.
And what was the outcome of that conversation?
Well, at first, they said that they weren't surprised to see me, and that he wanted, well, first he asked me why was I asking about Kitty. I told him that Kitty had not returned to her room from a panel the night before and was last seen in his home, his room. He started looking very nervous. He did admit to hosting a small party Friday night for the Furless bunch, but he didn't get too involved in arranging the party, that it was mostly organized by Altherite, the Furless bunch student president. He did volunteer that he purchased 2 bottles of champagne for the kids to celebrate their next journey in life, as he put it. But otherwise, watching the DuckTales marathon.
Sharon figures.
He left the kids alone to socialize in the living room area, and he assumed Kitty went home between 1 and 2 o'clock.
So, to summarize, Mr. Furless told you he invited a group of minors to his room, served them alcohol, and then left them alone while he went to the back room to watch TV.
Yes.
What made you left Mr. Furless's room?
Well, I decided to leave so I could go obtain a warrant to search the room. At a minimum, I had him for serving alcohol to minors. I didn't tell him that we had observed a ransom note. On my way back to my car, I heard a cry coming from another car in the garage. I had a strong feeling it was Kitty, but I didn't think Furless would be so stupid as to leave a kidnapping victim on premise. I immediately returned to the room and demanded that he open the trunk of the car for me to investigate. And that was under the probable cause doctrine. He initially refused, but when I threatened to call for backup, he led me to the garage. The scream became louder, and I discovered it was emanating from a 2005 Panther YK9. I asked him for the keys, but he refused, and he fumbled and searched in his pocket, so I just broke the window and popped the trunk from the button in the glove box. As it popped open, there was Kitty. She was hog-tied and gagged, although the gag had come loose, which allowed her to scream. He went over and was comforting her, and I almost believed that he really cared. Considering that he had likely done this to Kitty, I placed him under arrest for kidnapping and read him his Miranda rights. We then had Kitty taken to the hospital and by ambulance, and took Furless to the station for questioning, but refused. He refused.
Which hospital did you have?
The Conway Memorial Hospital.
I'm going to show the witness what we're marking as Commonwealth 2 through 4. Start with Commonwealth 2 there. You recognize that?
Yes, that is the trunk of the vehicle.
And you said the vehicle. Whose vehicle is that?
That was Mo Furless's vehicle.
And how do you know that? Who took that picture?
I did.
You didn't? That's the same picture?
That's the same picture, yes.
And Kitty was in the trunk of that vehicle.
Yes,
Now, I see you have fingerprints down there at the bottom.
yes.
Whose fingerprints are those?
Those are Mo's fingerprints.
Were anybody else's fingerprints found on the rear of Mr. Furless's car?
No.
And then we move to admit Commonwealth 2. Take a look at Commonwealth 3. Earlier, when we got a little ahead of ourselves, you said forensics team and searched Mr. Furless's hotel room, correct?
Yes,
And they located civet oil in
Yes.
there, correct?
yes.
What is civet oil?
It's on the idea of a date rape drug?
So it's a type of drug, something you should drug somebody.
Yes,
And you said they took a picture of that?
yes.
All right.
And that is the picture.
And that is a picture of that. Where was that picture taken?
That was taken in the Mo for Less's room where the gathering had taken place.
At this point, we move to the Commonwealth 3 evidence.
No objection.
And Commonwealth 4 right there. Do you recognize that?
Yes, that is the forensics report on the, I'm sorry, my eyes are, please forgive me. This was found in the toxicology report found, and this is the report of the findings of the urine test of Ms. Beaver.
All right, and on this report, right there where it says civet oil, is that positive?
It does say positive, yes.
Any of those other drugs marked positive?
No,
So just civet oil, right?
yes,
What's your blood alcohol level?
0.01,
All right, and now this was taken what? At 14:06 on May 19th, so about 2:06 p.m.?
yes,
So more than 12 hours after Ms. Clitters had been seen drinking in that room, right?
yes,
More than 12 hours after Mr. Furr was told you thought she left.
yes,
And yet she still had a .01 blood alcohol level?
yes,
Is it .08 legally drunk?
yes.
You know anybody who gets legally drunk off of 2 sips of champagne and some cake?
No.
Nothing further.
Counsel, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Your Honor. Detective, is it common for kidnappers to send a ransom to the victim?
No.
In all of your 12 years of experiences, nobody has sent a ransom note to the victim themselves. And you said
Objection, Your Honor, that's a mischaracterization. She just said it wasn't common.
Overruled.
Is it common for kidnappers to leave victims at the scene of the crime?
No.
Okay. Now, in your, to your knowledge, has Kitty Leonard's been seen by a psychologist?
Counsel, I remind you of the acoustics in the room. I know it's super hard, but this room is really bad.
In your experience, in your knowledge, has Kitty Leonard been seen by a psychologist?
I believe she was seen by a psychologist in the hospital.
Did you have an opinion on her mental state when she was rescued from the trunk of the car?
Objection, Your Honor, calls for speculation. Defense counsel would like to admit my witness as an expert. We can do this.
So stand.
Do you have expertise in the area of psychology?
Are you really wanting my witness for an expert position on psychology? I'll stipulate, she's an expert on psychology.
Okay! All right then.
That's my point. In your opinion, did Kitty Leonard suffer from Stockholm syndrome?
Yes, I believe she did.
Okay, let the record show that I'm showing the Commonwealth what we've marked as Defense Exhibit 1.
Absolutely. And let's take this moment when we look at that to remember, guys, all of this was created by the people sitting here. Let's take this moment to applaud them for the insane amount of until today, and I am totally blown away by what you guys have done. This is brilliant.
Your Honor, at this point, subject to Mr. O'Leary from 6. This week.
I have 6. That's
Your Honor, we will stipulate to the admission of 6, but we would ask that the final paragraph in this matter, which is kidnapping the hallmark of Stockholm syndrome, we would ask that be stricken as hearsay and unsupported by psychological. We have a real expert now. That's not the himself, so if you like to commission my client, not as an expert. If you want to bring up a rebuttal expert, he's more than welcome to. I'm certain if this, the mode is anywhere available, she'll be here, right? You're speaking to your witness, right?
Of course. Yes, I did. Do I have any volunteers?
Now we withdraw our question.
Thanks, because that was not covered on YouTube. That was super complicated. One of these two is going to kick my ass after all of this, just so you guys know. No, both, yeah. Thank you. Overruled.
Your Honor, come in for the witness.
You may.
Where's the dance number? Okay, this is a document by Dr. Simon DeMode, psychological evaluation of Miss Kitty Withers.
Thank you. Your Honor, I'd like to, at this time, move to admit this to the evidence as offenses upon.
We have no objection.
Thank you. Read the second to last paragraph, the second page.
The symptomatic identification of the accused kidnapper is a hallmark of Stockholm Syndrome, but as Kitty was unconscious for a majority of the ordeal and did not interact with anyone during the kidnapping, such a comparison is not warranted.
Thank you very much. Now, did you speak with Kitty after the kidnapping?
Yes.
What did you tell her?
Well, I'm thinking. Let me recall,
In
please.
your own time.
I'm trying to remember. Please forgive me. I visited her at 4 o'clock after she had been admitted.
At that time, did you tell her anything? Did you intend to get her cooperation in the investigation?
I did try to convince her that that Furless denied knowing who she was. In order,
So you lied on the kidnapping victim to get her cooperation?
Excuse me, Your Honor. He's first being very argumentative, witness, second, that's not supported by evidence whatsoever.
Is there another term for that?
Not supported by evidence. Yeah, there is another term for the asshole, we're not using it right now. Unless we'll get the objection sustained. Then I'll definitely use it, I'll use it right now.
Please use it.
Objection, Your Honor, he is badgering the witness.
Double gavel sustained.
Something was a setup for that.
That's all you wanted.
Well, let's draw this statement. Okay, when you released Kitty from the trunk, what did you see of Mo Furless's reaction?
his reaction was he went over to her and comforted her, hugged her.
It's an unusual response for a kidnapper, correct?
Yes.
Okay. At any point did you speak with Al Rai about the kidnapping?
I spoke with him. I'm trying to remember the time. He was the only, yeah, I do have a statement from him.
Oh, great.
He did mention that the members who stated they went to the panel did not actually attend the panel. No one attended his panel. He said that they spent the entire evening at Mr. Furless's. I did later confirm this. He also expressed frustration that the party was held at his rather than with them attending his panel. He expected them all to be at his panel, as they had initially planned. He also said that when he left around 2 a.m., Kitty was still there, passed out on Mr. Furless's couch.
Now, we have no witness to see who got the rope first, in what combination. At any point, was Al Bryan suspect?
I did not consider him suspect.
And can you tell me why not?
Gut reaction experience, observation.
Thank you. No further questions.
I have just a very briefly right now. Now, defense and defenses of
That was the,
psychological.
yes, I do have that.
Right. Do you remember, I read the section that said, a comparison with this is with Stockholm Center was not one because Kitty was unconscious, right?
Yes,
I'm going to cut you off for that last sentence.
yes,
Want to read that last sentence? Sure.
yes. Instead, Kitty's strong identification with Mo Furless stems from months of interaction and should be potentially analyzed from a perspective of socialized programming.
Since you're admitted as a psychological expert, when you say socialized programming, that's a psychological drug for brainwashing, isn't it? So what they're saying is we should look at this from the perspective of both brainwashing and
Yes.
now, you said you can consider Al a suspect. Have you been able to contact Al at all?
No, I have not, unfortunately. He is out of the country on a European tour performing.
And does he have anybody that you try to contact and ask to see if you can get in touch with?
You know, let me.
Well, I'll refresh your memory.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Have you contacted anybody else to try to get a hold of Mr. Alcurai?
We have, despite our best efforts, we have not been able to contact him. He's believed to be in Budapest. And his boyfriend was completely unhelpful. He's asking for tortilla chips.
Your Honor, just one final question. Mr. Furless, you are familiar with him, correct?
Yes,
Is he in the courtroom today?
yes,
Can you identify him?
yes.
Let the record show that the witness is identified. Your Honor, at this time the prosecution rests its case and move for the record verdict of guilt.
Absolutely object to this motion. Our witnesses have now been called. We believe that there is no evidence to support it. We obviously object to this motion. Our witnesses haven't been called yet. They've not presented all of our evidence, but we don't believe that even now that the prosecution has proven guilt beyond reasonable doubt.
Your motion is denied. However, I will remind defense that the fursuit parade is in 15. May I dismiss the witness?
Yes.
Guys, a round of applause. I will remind both counsel and defense, once again, terrible acoustics. Sorry, guys.
I'll scream.
Okay.
That's what I do.
All right, lightning round. The defense calls Kitty Glitters to the stand.
I was not expecting this.
All right, everybody, let's go. We're short on time. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's good. Good. All right.
Drop the gavel, man. Defense.
Can you please tell us about your relationship with your father?
He passed away some years ago.
So, you grew up without a father.
I would say that that's true, yes.
And was Mo Furless a parental figure for you?
I wouldn't necessarily I mean, he's my friend. I don't know if he would know the same as a parent.
Could you please tell us about the Furry Sponge's activities?
Oh, we do all sorts of things. We go to conventions, we go and set different meets, we do charity drives for people. We've helped out a lot of people with our activities.
And can you tell me about Mo Furless's, specifically his charitable contributions towards these events?
Well, he's always very generous. He always gives a lot of money. I do remember this one time we went to a homeless shelter, and he made it a point to give out $20 bills to all of the homeless people in the shelter to kind of lift their spirits and help them out.
Thank you. And who paid for Furry Sponge activities?
I would say that Mo paid for the majority of it. I think some of it was funded through some of our activities, but I believe that the majority of it was his own contributions.
And did you accept any funding from Mo Furless for anything other than Furry Sponge activities?
No, not that I recall, no.
Okay. Were you on an academic scholarship?
Yes, I was.
So you would say that you weren't earning for money in this case. So that's lost his train of thought.
It's okay.
So you're not hurting for money?
No, I wouldn't say that we were.
Okay. You had a position of leadership in the Furry Sponge, is that correct?
Yes, shortly after I joined, after I had kind of proven myself to help out with the activities, I was named Outer Lord of the Furry Sponge.
And once more for the people in the back.
Oh, Outer Lord? Sorry, that was a little too close.
Yeah, this is a position of great responsibility.
Yes.
So could you please tell us about the relationship with Alki Rai, who's the president of the Furry Sponge?
Oh, I would consider us friends, or at least acquaintances. But I believe Alki was, how to put this, jealous of my position in the Furry Sponge, more so because he had been in the group longer than I had, and I think he was upset that maybe he got passed over for the position.
So the relationship did change.
Yeah, I would say that's correct.
Okay. What about Alki Rai's charity work?
Well, he was very upset that we didn't end up going to it. It struck me as very odd. It seemed like he was expecting us to show up and give more money, and so he was upset that we weren't there to kind of raise his charity totals. And that rubbed me the wrong way. I didn't like that.
And what was the charity list at?
You're gonna have to forgive me. I don't remember what he was raising money for at this time.
No further questions at this time.
Commonwealth?
Oh, I'm sorry, are you done?
I would think that that's up to you, isn't it?
So, no more further pretty well.
Commonwealth Acoustics?
No more further pretty well.
Yes.
So you know about investment, right?
Objection, we've already covered this.
God, he asked the witness questions about Mr. Furless's character. He has opened the door to impeachment evidence based on prior conduct of the federal rules.
Sustained, we have already covered this.
God, he opened the door.
YouTube! That's all I got!
So Mr. Furless is a friend of yours, correct?
Yes.
And he's helped you out many times?
I would say yes.
Okay. Let's go back to the night of May 19th. It would be tonight, correct?
Yeah.
You went to Mr. Furless's room, right?
Yes.
And you drank alcohol there, correct?
Yes, I did have some alcohol.
Provided by Mr. Furless, right?
I mean, there was alcohol in the room, so
And then you remember nothing after that, do you?
I remember very little.
That's not the statement you gave to the police. This is the statement you gave to the police looking at your statement right now. Is you were sweating, you needed water. The only thing that you recall after the toast was Mo retreated to the deck. You remember making that statement to the police?
Yes, now that you bring it up, I do.
Okay, so you remember nothing after those toasts opened. You walked out of the room, right?
Yes.
And then you woke up in the trunk of a car.
Yes.
Trunk of his car.
I was in the trunk of a car.
Now come on. You woke up in the trunk of his car.
Yes, I was in his car.
No memory how you got there, no memory who put you there, right?
Yes.
You're just certain it wasn't Mr. Purvis.
I don't think it could have been him.
The question I asked is you're certain it wasn't him, right?
Yeah.
Even though you have absolutely no memory how you got there.
Mo wouldn't do that to me.
How do you know that?
He's too good of a friend.
Well, wouldn't put you in the trunk of the car.
No. Sorry, come again?
After getting you.
No. He wouldn't do that.
Commonwealth will refrain from littering in my courtroom. That's what she said, Commonwealth. Counsel?
If you get your seats, no further questions.
Guys, let's give her. Is that a part of the court system? I don't know. It's halftime. Offsides.
She scores.
Counsel?
Defense calls its last witness, Mo Furlis.
Oh, let's give a huge round of applause for the guy that's been sitting.
Your Honor, defense moves that we win based on that.
It was not how law works. 1 point.
Do you promise not to try and mess this up?
I promise.
You may be seated.
Acoustics.
Can you tell us about the Furlis Bunch and your goals with this organization?
The goals of the Furry Bunch are basically to kind of leave the world a little bit better than when we entered it. We do a lot of charity stuff, a lot of service-based learning, and a lot of service-based volunteering.
Your Honor, how is any of this relevant?
Denied. Continue.
Yeah, I was strenuously objecting to this point. Now, we're allowing him to testify about his good civic duty, but we're not allowing any of his other character evidence in.
Defense, get to the point quickly.
The defense is moving on. Tell us about your interactions with Alki right before you got killed.
Once again, I object on the grounds relevance. We're not here to discuss Mr. Purvis's interpersonal relationships with drug performers. Handsome drug performers.
Get to the point quickly.
Did your relationship with Alki right change?
Once again, Your Honor, Mr. Purvis's interactions with performers. You're measuring the judge.
Counsel, these obviously pointless accusations of a very handsome man. I have a second weapon. You. He also complimented me. Continue.
So drop down when I pay for that.
If not, there will be more.
No!
We don't stare at that like tomorrow, I'm going to be sorely disappointed.
I will be relieved.
You ought to just be sore.
Deputy, say
621.
Better be wearing the wig. I apologize, counsel.
Well, I can't top that.
Good try.
Oh my. Oh!
All right, let's talk about the night of the incident in question here. Were you alone in the room with Kitty?
There was at one point that that we were alone, yes.
Okay, and what happened at that point?
At that point, Kitty had offered me a check for, I believe it was $1,500, and she had asked, or she was intending to donate to help me out for certain issues that I was having at the time.
You did not accept that check, correct?
No, and I had every intent of destroying it when the opportunity had arisen.
Okay, I'm going to move on to, how much time do you have?
Very little.
Very
Right. The defense will get to its point. The quote-unquote ransom note was sent through your phone, correct?
Yes.
Do you have your phone here today?
No.
Can you present it?
No.
And the police?
No.
What about your vehicle? Now, the prosecution's already shown that only your fingerprints are back in your vehicle, but it's your car. I don't see any reason why you should not have fingerprints on it in your point. Is there any way to get into your car otherwise?
Using the keys, and if that's what you're asking.
Yes. So, do you have one of those keyless clickers for your car?
Yes.
Okay. And there's a button on that to open the trunk, correct?
Correct.
And should you use that, you wouldn't necessarily need to leave fingerprints in the car. It will open by itself.
There are times when I've had to, like if I've had to load it up with a bunch of luggage, I have had to place my fingers on the trunk in order to get to the really back part of my trunk.
But somebody could theoretically open your trunk of the car without leaving fingerprints if they had access to this wireless device.
Correct.
This calls for speculation.
This is not speculation.
You're asking the witness to speculate or something. That's the same question 3 times. Y'all can keep asking the damn question. Just because you're not getting the answer you want.
Have you opened your car with your foot before?
No, sir. I can't imagine kicking it. Now, using the keyless clicker, yes, I have.
Thank you. Do you have that today?
No, I do not.
How long has that been missing?
That's been missing since the night of the incident.
No further questions at this time.
Well, that incident, you mean the night that Kitty Glitters got shoved in the trunk of your car, right?
Correct.
After you gave her alcohol, which you were
Yes.
after you gave the minor alcohol, and he showed up in the front of your car, suddenly you have no idea how she got there, do you?
No, sir, we do not.
I'm gonna show you what I'm going to. It's not welcome, whatever the fuck I forgot. I've already stipulated to the admission of this, so I just want you to take a look at it. Fellas, do you recognize that document?
Yes, I did.
What is it?
That is a notice of non-payment for my house mortgage.
And what's the date on that?
April 24th, 2017.
About 19 days, it's going to take.
Acoustics.
About 19 days before Kitty Glitters went missing, right?
Yes.
How many months have you not paid the mortgage on your house?
For 3 months.
That letter says you're getting ready to go on foreclosure, letter.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Now show you the sales agreement we stipulated. Take a look at it. Do you recognize it?
Yes.
What is it?
That is a real estate agreement that I had just put down a payment for a shop that I was opening up in the center of town.
I'm the shop that you open. How much is that agreement for?
$250,000.
Holy hell. Isn't that strange? Hey, do you remember the amount on that ransom note?
Yes.
What was it?
$250,000.
So the exact same amount, right?
Yes.
Okay. When was that signed?
This was signed, excuse me, March 22nd, 2017.
March 22nd, you hadn't paid your mortgage in March, but you were entering into contracts to buy land for $250,000. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. I'll show you something else. Recognize this?
Yes,
What's that?
this is a bank statement.
Whose bank statement is it?
This would be mine.
That's your bank statement. Hey, what was your beginning balance at the December of 2016?
In December?
Yes.
That would be $275,173.97.
200, so well, you were in pretty good shape then, weren't you?
Yes.
And how much would that secretary go all the way down to the last entry, tell me how much money was in your account at the date?
The last date was the 15th of May, 2017, for just over $10,000.
15th of May 2017, and at that time, you had spent over $280,000 in less than a year. Is that right?
Yes.
Matter of fact, from the date of that mortgage note, April 24th to 15th of May, you look at all those withdrawals you had been withdrawn in cash or checks. No less than 6 checks for $1 under $10,000, $9,999. 6 times in less than a month. You had three $500 cash withdrawals. You had a $3,500 line withdrawal. You took out almost $65,000 in the course of 1 month, and you didn't pay the mortgage.
No, sir.
But you had a signing date for a sales contract for $250,000 coming up, didn't you?
I'm sorry?
You had a $250,000 sales contract that you had to satisfy, right?
Yes.
You didn't have it. You had $10,000, right?
Correct.
And then a well-heeled member of your group goes missing. Ends up in the trunk of your car, right?
Correct.
And someone sends a ransom note for the exact amount due on that sales agreement, right?
Yes.
I got nothing further. Wow.
It's almost like he's really good at his job.
Wait, he's a lawyer? No, I'm a stockbroker.
Counsel?
The judge is finished arguing with his boyfriend.
I love you both equally.
Stop it. Defense has one question for redirect. Do you have a first tendency account?
Do you not believe so? No.
Thank you. No further questions.
Wait a minute.
I'm ready to do a closing. I'm ready to do a very quick closing.
The defense has one motion to consider. We have moved for immediate mistrial because the judge served on the stand alcohol to a person who swore under oath that they were 20 years old.
I don't believe this. Dude, you better make a really good closing.
I didn't hear his motion. What did he say?
He said you're losing. Trial.
Moved for mistrial because the judge served a person on alcohol who swore under oath that they're 20 years old.
I think we can
I think there's enough self-abuse.
I'll reserve time for rebuttal, but I'm not going to be
Mr. Furnace, come off the stand.
Yeah, you don't want to.
Oh, sorry.
Go back. Opposing counsel, Your Honor, members of Archer. At the start of this, we talked about predators and prey, the strong preying on the weak and the wounded around them. And I told you would hear a lot of evidence, and you heard all of it. You heard about a young person damaged by the loss of their father at an early age, kept isolated by a mother, probably against their best interest but with the best of intentions, who for the first time in college blossomed out and reached out into a group that accepted them and a group that loved them, but unfortunately a group that was led by somebody with less than perfect scruples. Somebody who hid behind a veneer of charitability in order to achieve their own means. Somebody who had no problem serving alcohol to minors, to the extent that 12 hours after they were serving it, the minors still had at least 0.01 in their system. Somebody who the police recognized and had a reason to know, as you heard, but we don't know why. Somebody who had entered themselves into a sales agreement where they were bound to buy a $250,000 piece of property after they had blown through over $290,000 in 6 months. And it is not hard to see how somebody in that situation with access to a well-heeled member of the group, somebody that, as he testified, had offered money, so he knew she had. He knew she had. Could help. Somebody who would serve them alcohol, invite them into the room, make them feel safe, slip something into a drink, and it's not hard to imagine this, and then as everyone else leaves, slide out of their bedroom, pick up this child, carry them to the trunk of their car, pop the lock, place them in, and throw away the remote, and have them go missing. Sign up for an account on an email service to send one message while the police and a concerned roommate are looking for them. Panic. After that point, claim complete ignorance, asking for the exact amount that they would be expected to pay in a short period of time to purchase that piece of land. And now stand in front of us today blaming an absent performer who is apparently of no concern to any other convention or any other group of people because they keep inviting him and placing him with people obviously trustworthy. And no one else. And who does he present in his defense? Somebody that the report the defense counsel decided to rely upon even says was likely brainwashed by him. The crime we are here on today's case. And this commonwealth that is the removal of a person from the place where they are currently found, where they are at, to another place and holding them there, isolated and alone for any period of time, for money. A child disappeared after being served alcohol by one man from his room into the trunk of his car. An email was sent to the exact amount of money needed by him to close on land as he frittered away $300,000. Now, we have to prove our case beyond reasonable doubt. But reasonable doubt does not mean in anything whatsoever. Because there's a difference between probability and possibility. Because anything in this world is possible. It is entirely possible that a purple elephant could fall through the ceiling of this courtroom and land unharmed in the middle floor. It is possible that somewhere above us right now there's a C-130 with an elephant and a load of purple paint. In turbulence, the elephant will be covered, it will fall out the back, it will fall through the sky with an updraft and gently flow right through here to land unharmed in front of us. It's possible. It could happen. It ain't very likely. And that's the difference. Reasonable doubt does not mean it is entirely impossible. It means that when you look at all the evidence together, it adds up to only one probable explanation. He had a contract he couldn't pay for, but he had to. He had a victim that had been brainwashed into loving him so much that they would testify on his behalf, viewing him as a friend, especially as a replacement for his father. He had the means and opportunity, having them in that room, drunk, with civet oil found in the room, and passed out, and no other witnesses. He had a place to place them, the trunk of the car, parking garage. It's only now that he asks us to believe that it could be anybody else. No. Added him. only one reasonable explanation for this. And that's that this man is guilty of abusing a child and kidnapping for his personal profitability. And I have faith in you, the members of our jury, to see through the ruse and the smoke screen and the lies. And to let the facts guide you to that conviction. The prosecution rests you.
Counsel, closing statement.
People of the jury, let's talk about facts for a moment, and let's talk about predators. What we have here is no evidence that Mo Perlis is the guilty party. Yes, we do have a victim, being Kitty Glitters. But we have a party who is out of the country, who was unable to be questioned by the opportunity and the motive to commit the crime. We have a ransom note that was traced to Mo Perlis' phone, but no evidence that he was the one who sent it. We have a vehicle belonging to Mo with fingerprints on it, but with a missing keyless entry device that anybody could have used. We have no access to this device. We have no idea who used it. We have a detective with a grudge against my client who has been following him for years.
At this point, I am going to object. I know it's unusual to object for closing statements, but counsel asked us to exclude the criminal history specifically. There is absolutely nothing in the record regarding my client, regarding Dutch Brown's having any grudge. On counsel's own request. If he wanted these facts to be argued in closing, he needed to argue them in the case first, so there was an evidentiary record.
Damn! Wow!
Take a roll so we keep this moving.
Sustained? Guys, we are over, so this is how this is going to work. I have a large table in front of me. I am going to make a decision based off of the Chicago ruling, which is who gives more money. While this is happening, I am loud enough that I think even with this insanity, I can be heard over you. If you would like to rule for the Commonwealth that this gentleman is guilty, your donation to the charity goes over here. If you would like to rule for the defense that he is not guilty, your money goes over here. And as this is happening, please walk up and do it now as I am speaking. I just want to say a few things. One, I have never been more educated about our legal system than I am right now. And I want to thank everyone who put this together. That was incredible! Second, to everyone out there who performed in this act, you guys did a shit ton of memorization. That was amazing. To this gentleman right here who had Boozy Barrister yelling in his face about kidnapping a child? Dude, I can't believe you let that happen. Well fucking done. To the Boozy Badger, dude, that was incredible work. And my biggest thank you and apology. I don't think anyone knew what this was going to turn into, that this would be a full room. To Good Boy, dude, next year, if you guys are up for this, I want to hit this to happen again. I want this to have a better time slot, and I want you to have the floor time that you needed. We had to end a little bit early because of the first grade. You are incredible, and I want to hear so much more from you. Guys, let's give a huge round of applause. All right. I do not need help counting because I'm a Jew and I know where 20s are. All right, finally, guys, if you are wondering who won the case, I am mainly looking at the larger bills to figure it out. So, first off, with $2, me personally apparently am not guilty, but according to $2, I was. The judge fines for the Commonwealth with a total of at least $100 over there. Guys, put them all on. And so blown away, everyone. Enjoy the Furry Parade, the Fursuit Parade. Have a great convention. And one more time for the people who put this together. see? That was incredible. Holy shit, guys. I was ready to just, oh, I know, we're going to do some. Oh, look, I'm
Silver Gato Man, he bought me a coffee. Silver Gato Man, here is the song for thee. He likes to video all the panels at the cons. You should go and watch them whether they are short or long. Silver Gato Man, you video that's not a jibe. All of you go to his YouTube channel and like and subscribe.